Hello and welcome everyone to another Minigeddon battle report. Today we will be looking at the skirmish between the Orcish Warhorde and the Eldar Craftworld Saim-Han. The lists are available in the description. If you like this battle report, please remember to like, share, subscribe and leave a comment. Let's jump into the action. On the right hand side we have Saim-Han Craftworld Eldar. 2 units of medium Wild Riders and 2 units of Night Spinner artillery. The Eldar Blitz objective is marked with the hazard striped circle. In the middle of the field there are 2 Orc Stormboy groups. One is grouped in the research center and is actually on Overwatch. Next to the Eldar take and hold objective, the second one is spread around the entire width of the table to block enemy movement. They also occupy the Orcish Taco Truck take and hold objective. In the rear we have a Big Kult of Speed next to the Orcish Blitz and a second Big Kult of Speed on the road. Eldar win the initiative and start off with an assault on my Stormboyz. I put those formations up front to screen enemy movements, block their path and potentially do a first turn assault, but I was the one supposed to be assaulting, not be assaulted. One orc dies in the firefight. The situation is bad but not terrible until I decide to roll double ones. Losing by a total of 3 points means that only 2 stands are left and run away. They will be unable to rally until the end of the game, so they won't be much help. What is the best reaction when one of your units was rendered useless? Of course, activate the second one on a double using the orc bonus and move it forwards and backwards to achieve absolutely nothing other than forcing your opponent to activate. My cunning plan to pull the Eldars in a bit for an assault or double from the Cult of Speed backfired, since Eldar are a very mobile race. They were able to double up by moving forward, shooting at my infantry and doubling backwards. Fortunately, only one shot connected and I was able to save it. It was my time to move again and unfortunately I was unable to force the Eldar artillery activation as I hoped. That meant that I needed to activate one of my Cult of Speeds. I wanted to do it using the double order to get the activation bonus. However, I didn't want to get in range of any of the artillery pieces, so I ended up moving just a little bit forward to gain some momentum. The main issue with this activation actually origins in the deployment step. I put my war buggies as the last units in the unit rather than the first one. That meant that they lost a few centimeters of shooting range and were unable to target any of the artillery pieces. If they were put on the front instead of the back, then I would have those missing few centimeters and could use it to put a blast marker or maybe even destroy an artillery piece, which would make a much better activation. Seeing that their only target moved out of range, the Eldar artillery advances a little bit closer, avoiding the Stormboyz assault range. The final movements are mirrors of the almost final movements, so I move my Cult of Speed brigade just a little bit forward, Eldars move their artillery a little bit forward, using a cautious move, going into the woods to get some cover, or rather the obscured bonus. End of round situation, orcs moved up just a little bit forward and got a single broken unit, which did not rally. They also have one unit in the middle of the field with a single blast marker. Eldars almost did not move, but caused a lot of havoc. Let's see how round 2 goes. For the strategy roll, Eldar roll a 4. Again, I roll a 1 for strategy, which means that I'm going to receive a whole lot of artillery fire from the Eldar. The northernmost artillery, from our point of view, activates on sustained fire and targets the Cult of Speed. A total of 4 hits, 3 deaths, results in 5 blast markers due to the disrupt ability. Having 5 blast markers meant that I had quite the nut to crack. I could activate a different unit, but there were no valid targets for any of them, and the fact that Stormboyz do not have a ranged attack does not help at all. I could have doubled with the damaged cult, but A, that would be an invitation for an assault from the Eldar side, and losing the cult meant losing the game. B, having 5 blast markers meant that 40% of the unit would be suppressed and not fire. I would do next to no damage. In the end I decided to marshal. Well, I tried to marshal, but orcs did not want to proceed with the order. Instead of moving and regrouping, I decided on regrouping only and managed to drop all blast markers. Eldar bikes marshal, move 1 move forward and drop the 1 blast marker that they had from the previous turn. I was running out of options. My opponent, quite rightfully, was just standing in place and shooting at me because he did not need to move at all. I needed to force some kind of move from him. I decided that doubling up to his artillery with my Stormboyz would be a sufficient incentive. I was so worried about not getting into firing range from his jetbikes that I completely forgot that I totally got into assault range from his jetbikes. By moving from the rear, Eldars decrease the amount of units I can get into the assault to just 2. Both of them are eliminated, and after some terrible rolling on my part, the entire orc unit is destroyed. As a consolidation move, Eldar jetbikes jump back to their previous position. This is my chance. I found a sweet spot between both artillery units that's so close to both of them that they will be unable to use their indirect artillery fire, and I'm actually able to hide from the unactivated night spinners. Doubling with the Cult of Speed, I need to squeeze through the choke point. Firing, I land 6 hits on the bikes. 2 fail their armor saves and vanish in scorching flames. Having no other targets, the artillery unit sustains fire on the further Cult of Speed, killing 2. In the end phase, Eldars rally their jetbikes. Orc Cult of Speed also rallies, dropping half of its blast markers. The broken infantry formation stays broken in the woods. Round 3. Basically a all or nothing. Either I win the initiative and assault with my fresh Cult of Speed, or again end up on the receiving part of the gun. We roll off, and I roll a 1 again, which means that for the 3rd time in this game, Eldar win initiative. You don't change a sound working strategy, so Eldar open up with a artillery, this time without indirect, only direct fire. 2 scorches hit, 1 fails its armor save, a total of 3 blast markers and 1 dead unit. Another tough nut to crack. I have 3 blast markers. The formation that I could potentially assault has 1 blast marker. There's more of me, there's 2 times more than me, but I have more blast markers than they do, which means that I'm going to start off the assault with only a +1 bonus. The rolls and the kills will have a big impact, and since my rolling this day is not very good, I decide to play it safely and do a double. I double around the research center to hide from the 2nd Eldar formation, but to keep within 30 centimeters of the already activated artillery for a safer next turn, and since this is round 3, push the enemy off the objective marker. 2 of the scorches end up making slower, safer moves through terrain to keep in that sweet spot. After all moves are done, due to range and blast markers, only 7 scorches and 1 war buggy fire at the jetbikes. Only 2 hits connect and 1 bike fails its armor save. Jetbikes try to marshal but fail their activation roll. As part of the hold order, they decide to do a single move to the middle of the field to take ownership of the take and hold objective. The bikes in the middle of the field are an opportunity for me. I double up with the remaining Cult of Speed, take up a position behind some terrain, and fire up at the bikes. Only a few hits connect and only 1 bike perishes, but that's enough to break the unit. The last activations in this turn belong to the Eldars. First, artillery sustains fire on the northernmost Cult of Speed, killing 2 units. Next, the last jetbike group tries to activate on a double but fails. For their hold action, they decide to move north between their artillery units. End of round 3, Eldar are able to rally both formations. Orcs rally all but the broken infantry. As you probably already understand, the situation is dire. I'm outnumbered in activations 2 to 1. If I don't win this initiative and break some units, then I'm basically toast. I know this is the exact same thing that I said last turn, but this time this is the final turn. I have no chance of actually catching a lot of objective markers. I can only break the enemy. We roll off for strategy, and this time, instead of rolling a 1, I rolled a 2, and again lost. First moves go to the Eldar. As was to be expected, Eldar start off with an assault. By moving into the choke point that was previously occupied by my Kult of Speed, they're able to draw only 3 Scorches as retaliation fire. Since one Scorcher has to move because it's out of range but can be in range, and it's a vehicle, it has to make a roll through dangerous terrain, and of course it fails that roll, which means that I'm going to fight 2 Scorchers against an entire squadron of jetbikes. Losses don't go as bad as they could. I lose only 1 Scorcher and kill 1 Warbike, so that's more or less a draw, since I have more blast markers, but there's also more of me than there is of the enemy. Then the total roll is a +2 for the Eldar. We roll the dice, Michael rolls a 3, I roll a 2. A small difference on the dice, but a large victory for the Eldar. Orcs are broken and need to run away. As for consolidation, the Warbike formation jumps in front of the second Kult of Speed to block its path. For my last activation, I decided to push my luck a little bit, as if I was not doing it this time, and do a sustained fire on the Kult of Speed. I was in a good position to possibly evaporate the entire jetbike detachment. As fate would have it, I failed to activate and used the fire action of the hold order to shoot at the jetbikes. I was able to eliminate 2 units, and that was my last say for the game. The final moves are a double order for the jetbikes to take over the second objective, and a march order for one of the artillery units to grab my blitz. With that said and done, Eldar win the entire game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this report. If you did, leave a comment, like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, see you next time.